Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, when the store is quiet, I get to watch movies and series and talk about them with my friends that work here. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was really interesting.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Russell.
Hey, Rusky. Hey,
How are you,
Graham.
G-Force?
I'm offended, Russell.
You're offended.
I'm offended because last week or the week before when you were recording with Perrin, you said no one ever asks you how you're doing. I always ask you how you're doing, Russell. Every time I'm here.
Oh, thank you, G-Force. I don't know. I think I was just caught up in the moment.
Yes.
How you, Gad?
Yeah, I'm good. It was an early morning. I mean, I've been good. I've been getting up early, but like today just felt.
Today was a tough one, man. Joburg is Ms.
Yeah.
This is Ms. weather.
And also, I went out partying with Sam on Saturday.
No, we must talk about this.
So I'm still catching up with that sleep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the video store. Thank you for wandering into our video store. We've got ourselves a real movie weather week in Joburg this week. It is overcast, it is cold, it is dark, and so now is the time to be watching stuff. So we're here to help you figure out. Today is the Clerks episode, so it's just going to be the three of us. Myself, Russell, Gad, and Graeme, and we're just going to talk about what we're watching on streaming platforms and out in cinemas. Later this week is going to be our guest episode. So on Thursdays is when we have interesting people pop in to rent something, and this week is going to be Anton Taylor.
Cool.
Who is a very funny, interesting, dynamic dude.
Cool.
Quick little announcement, just for those browsing the aisles. Attention all customers, this is to let you know that Encounters Documentary Film Festival is here. It is on its way. Tickets are available at the Bioscope for all the Bioscope screenings, but it is happening across the country, and you can go to encounters.co.za to see the full program. So these are documentaries, both local and international, and they're always a fantastic selection. So we hope to see you. The festival is going to run from the 20th to the 30th of June. So it is on its way.
What are you looking forward to at the festival?
There's some interesting stuff. There's this documentary called Into Thin Air about this culture in Japan of how people disappear.
Oh, I've heard about this. I've listened to a podcast about it.
Yeah, the name.
Yes, it's actually got the same name.
Classic Japan.
Right. Yes.
Is they give things a name. So I'll find it in a moment. But there's a Japanese word which is the main name of this documentary.
They literally come with like those like a forklift, and they go up to like whatever level in the apartment, and they take them out the back. And
So
then they just drive them away.
It's a whole culture of people who don't want to be found.
Oh.
So it could be like the Yakuza, or it could be shame, or it could be some reason.
Right.
But as much as 80,000 people will go missing a year, will purposefully make themselves missing, which I think is
there are
interesting.
businesses that do this for you.
Yeah, and then and this documentary talks about the companies that will come in at the night and take you away and put you in another town and like relocate you.
It's unreal.
That looks really interesting. Then there's this other documentary called Black People Don't Get Depressed, which I think is really interesting. It's a South African documentary, and it got parts of it got filmed in the Bioscope. I think they did some interviews.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I just think it's one of those where, especially with documentary, where the name just gets your attention.
Yes.
And you're like, hold on, what?
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, perhaps there are these cultures of, mental health isn't an issue.
Yeah.
In perhaps African culture.
They're not depressed because they've never been diagnosed.
Yeah, and what have you
Exactly.
got to be depressed about, or whatever. Every culture's got these different approaches,
Yes.
and I think just by virtue of its name, it's worth watching.
Yeah.
It's worth just this theme. So that screening, there's some good stuff.
Nice.
It's always quite difficult for me, funny enough, because 20 films come at one go, and it's quite hard to decode. But you can actually see, and I've always said this, and I want us to chat about it at some point today when we talk about cinema-going audiences, the success of movies so far this year. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to that. But the one thing I can say is that what I've always thought is that an audience is smart.
Yeah.
An audience, certain audiences, are smarter than you think, at least in the bioscope's world.
All right.
And so you can usually see, it's quite interesting to see which ones start selling quicker than the others because they've sniffed it out. There's something about it, be it the who's involved, the director, or the synopsis, or just even the poster. And certain ones just do better. Yeah. And the audience kind of identifies the smart
people
one.
are discerning with what they pick to watch.
Yeah, listen, the whole program's amazing. So I'm not saying that Encounters puts in duds, but there'll always be ones that are just perhaps a bit more exciting.
Right.
All of them have some merit.
What's that like that with any film festival? I've done the Durban Film Festival.
Yeah.
It's like every movie has its own merit, but I don't like everything. So
yeah. What are we watching, guys? Or let's actually get into it. Sorry, you alluded to the fact that myself and Gad had a pretty busy weekend. We played a show. So myself and Gad are in Short Straw, and we played the first show in a while. It's been a few months since we played a show.
6 weeks.
The band is a little bit quieter these days because we're all so busy with all the other things in our lives. But we played Feastival, which was a show in Cape Town, and the one member of our band was celebrating his birthday, but we were all very tired because we only left the festival like at sort of midnight.
Yeah,
right.
Sort of 1 a.m, and Gad put up his hand to carry on partying, just to give the guy a night out.
Yeah, I'm usually on the first train back with Russell.
Right. Yeah. So we've spoken about this before. There's the first train and the second train, which is the first train will be the safest, most guaranteed ride home back to the hotel or the venue or wherever we're staying.
Generally, Russ driving the rented van.
It's generally me. I'm sober. But there's one rule of the first train, which is that it waits for no one.
Right.
So you have to decide quite soon in the night whether you first train or second train.
When Russell wants to go, Russell's going.
First train means you go when we go. Like, I'm not going to wait for you for another 5 minutes or 10 minutes while you just dick around or do something. No, it's very interesting. And we were all first train.
Yeah.
And then from the hotel, Gad then went out.
It was Alice's idea, and then he looked at the time and he went,
It's amazing, eh? We're not the dudes we once were.
Yeah.
It was very different in Grahamstown 10 years ago. It's like everyone was out.
Yeah.
It's funny.
We watched a movie.
But then, myself and Gad did something else last week. We went to go watch Ezra.
I really liked Ezra.
So Ezra was a screening. It's now in cinemas. It was a screening last week, Tuesday, at the offices of UIP. So UIP are one of the bigger film distributors.
Yes.
And so they host these press screenings a couple of days before. So we were there as the video store to watch it. But I also go to these now with the Bioscope hat to see whether perhaps these films could work at the Bioscope.
Yes.
It's either a film I've seen coming and I've programmed, and then I watch it to reaffirm whether I've made the right decision for the Bioscope, or I've chosen to not program it and then I want to be convinced otherwise.
Right.
And so Ezra is this film that I think a lot of people just aren't going to know about. It's a smaller film that's flying under the radar, and we'll get into it, but it is a very small film where it's a small intimate story. But it's got De Niro in it.
You know the trailer's on the Jimmy Kimmel YouTube page.
Yeah,
so I think he's a producer. He must be a producer.
Well, he's in the movie. He's in the plot.
Yeah,
right. But it's a passion project. Do you know that the film was made by one of the members of the cast, the sort of new boyfriend in the movie?
Oh, interesting.
He made this film, so he's an actor. You'll recognize him when you see him. And this is his passion project.
Right.
But Ezra is a film about a family, really. The dad is a struggling comedian, or he's trying to get his life in order. Rose Byrne is the wife, but they are separated. They're effectively on the cusp of divorce. And their son, Ezra, is a boy with autism. And it is played by an actor with autism.
Well, I don't think he wasn't fully autistic. He was able
it's
to
a
kind
spectrum.
He's definitely on the spectrum, but
It's
he's
a
able
spectrum.
to be in school and communicate in some way.
Okay.
Well, this
But,
is
yeah.
the inciting incident. This is the issue is that the dad, played by Bobby
Cannavale.
Cannavale,
Yeah, he's great.
you recognize him instantly.
Yeah.
He's a real character actor. He wants to put the boy in a normal school, but it's clear that the boy is not right for a normal school. He actually is on the cusp where he should actually be in a special school.
Right.
That could meet his needs, and things are falling apart. The dad can't kind of keep himself together. He's got a short fuse. No one in the movie really ever sort of talks to each other. They just talk at each other.
Oh, right.
It's this real, hostile environment to a point where it's not a smart idea, but the dad sort of effectively takes the boy and they go on this kind of road trip. He sort of gets him
Okay.
out of the city.
Right.
And then it comes up that he's been able to book a slot as a comedian on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So it becomes
Oh.
this road movie as he tries to get to LA from New York. So they cross country with authorities and a very worried mom following behind.
Right.
And yeah, he's able to talk and communicate and get on with his son.
Mm.
But it's difficult because the son, this is the problem with autism, is that you can't rationalize, you can't change their mind about certain things if they've got this love for something or they've got this block for not ever wanting to do something, like a metal fork, to eat with a metal fork, or certain little things. And so it's quite a tough movie, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I came out of it not thinking it was going to be a Bioscope movie.
Right.
It didn't quite sit with me on that. But
But it was very heartwarming.
little movie with big heart was what
Yeah.
I sort of thought of it.
Totally,
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, how did you feel, Gad?
I mean, I'd seen the trailer. I knew I was in for like a tearjerker. And yeah, I think it hit the right notes. The kid was great. And apparently he did have autism. They announced before.
You can see. I mean, there's one thing when it's like Leonardo DiCaprio in Who's Eating Gilbert Grape? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? You can see those kind of those actors. This was very clearly a kid with autism.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting that kind of role is done by someone with that. And I actually was very curious I would be curious to see what that acting and that set procedure would be with someone like that.
Mm.
And I saw a lot of me and my dad projected into the Robert De Niro's character, and
Oh, really?
so
Yeah.
I could relate on like a weird level.
Yeah, so De Niro played the grandfather
Yes.
of Bobby, and
Or Bobby's dad.
sorry,
Yes,
the
so-
grandfather to Ezra. But yeah, when they talked to each other, they were talking at each other.
Yeah,
they weren't
that-
talking with each other, and they sort of go at each other in this particular way.
Yes.
But Rose Byrne acted the pants off this. I thought she was great.
Yeah,
Everyone really acted well. It's a
good.
great solid movie. And it's-
totally. Yeah.
And I think it is important for us to see these films and to see more autism so that we understand it. And
Yeah, it's something that's been very poorly portrayed in films quite a lot.
yeah, no, and it's odd. And
We
sometimes
get I Am Sam.
Yeah, and Predators. No, not Predators, The Predator.
I haven't
What was
seen
that?
that
Oh,
one.
it's terrible. It's like a Predator sequel. But the whole thing is there's a kid who has autism and predators want him or something because apparently autism is the next stage of human evolution. And it's like treating it's one of those things that happens quite a few times where they treat autism like a superpower.
yeah.
They do it a few times. Like there's a
Interesting.
Bruce Willis movie, I can't remember, with some kid who has...
Mercury Rising.
Yes. That also has like a kid who has autism and they treat it very poorly.
Oh, I barely
Yeah.
remembered that movie.
Yeah. What else have we been watching?
Oh, so I started a new show on Netflix called Eric.
Okay.
Eric with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, okay.
Is it a show or a movie?
I thought it was a movie, but it's like a 6-part series.
Okay,
Right,
and this is
okay.
with sort of the big monster.
Yeah. So the whole idea is that he is a creator of like a Sesame Street type show
Okay,
Okay.
for
He's a-
kids.
for kids, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a puppeteer and he does the voice acting, and his kid goes missing.
Okay.
So this is all like established in the first episode, and he kind of like goes down this rabbit hole, but his kid had kind of created a new character because the TV show needed a new character and everyone was pushing for it. So the kid had drawn all these pictures of this big purple monster, or blue, I don't know, one of those colors.
Gad is colorblind.
Yes.
Side note.
I think they did mention the color, but yeah, I just
You've
And-
seen your own color.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm seeing my own color.
Yeah.
And yeah, he goes down this road, and then this character basically comes alive in his head.
Right.
Okay.
You don't know whether he's
Okay.
hallucinating or
Yes.
it really is there. But
Okay.
and then yeah, that's kind of where the first episode kind of ends. And then
Okay. And how far are you?
Okay.
I've just watched the first episode.
Okay. And
Yeah.
are you
I'm going to watch the rest.
going to
Okay.
carry on?
Yeah, I can't do the binging. Like one episode
Yeah.
a night is
Yeah,
like,
same.
enough for me.
Yeah. This morning actually, Leslie says, I think they're waiting too long on the second part of Bridgerton season 3, and I was like, okay, let's unpack this. No, well, it's too late. I was like, but you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's still on your mind. Somehow it came up this morning.
Right.
No,
And
totally.
you want what you can't have. So it's kind of, I think it is smart. And I was like, well, when is it?
Yes.
She's like, no, it's in June, like later in June. I'm like, you can wait.
Yeah.
You can
Exactly.
wait.
What a few weeks
If they said like coming in September, I'd be
Right.
like, okay, no, then that.
coming 2026.
You know, And I think this is what's tricky. I was what was that? The Adam Scott, Ben Stiller TV show where they went in a work downstairs and their brain got.
It's a work pun.
Oh, fuck's sakes. I actually couldn't even remember it last night when I
I
was
have
talking.
no
to-
idea what you're talking about. I've never even heard of that.
They go into
Severance.
Severance. Yeah, where their work is so secretive, they like basically have this brain
Okay.
implant.
All right. Yes.
that
Yeah, so it was a little bit of a somewhat sci-fi, bit of a cerebral TV show
I
Yeah.
couldn't finish it.
called Severance. I finished it and it ends on this like exciting cliffhanger where you're like, I'm in,
Yes.
give me more. And they are doing another season, but that campfire is cold now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know, the
Yeah.
next morning when you see where you were hanging out the night before at the school camp,
Yes.
and it's like it's just a dead campfire. It's very hard to get that like exciting again.
See, that's what
Yes.
it was like for what's that? That one that won all the awards with the rich family, and he owns the all the kids. Kimball's the one kid, and they're all. It's kind of like Brian Cox is in it.
Yes. I know what you're talking
I'm
about.
so-
Brian
so-
Cox. Who's
Yeah,
Brian
he's
Cox?
he's like the father.
Crap.
Okay, one of
I'm
us is going
googling
to
it.
do
I
the
know what you're
googling.
talking
But
about.
yeah, also it was like great.
Animated
No, it's
Mm-mm.
live action. It
on
won,
what channel?
I think it was HBO.
The Showmax.
Probably. Yeah, it won
The
all.
Righteous Gemstones.
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
It was more like a dry. Oh, I suppose that's also. Totally blanking on TV shows.
Yeah. Succession.
Succession.
Oh, yeah. Well, what about Succession? That was considered one of the greatest TV shows of the last.
But
however
also,
many
also,
years.
it came a point in like the previous season where I just got to the end, and then like I couldn't get that interest back to push in for that
Right.
last season.
Oh, people loved that.
Yeah, I know. I kind of.
Okay, I think
it
maybe
was-
you were the anomaly on that
I'm
one.
curious how this is going to affect stuff because a lot of stuff has been delayed because of the strike.
Yeah.
By quite a significant, like, stuff's been pushed back by like more than a year in some cases. Like
Andor got pushed back a year.
For TV
Mandalorian season 4 as well. Like it's been, it's
TV
going to be like
shows as
2
well.
years between seasons of some of these things. And I'm wondering,
Yeah, I don't know whether people quite understand, even the people in the trenches, how much they understand what that right to strike meant.
Yeah.
And what its repercussions are.
Yes.
We're seeing such a strange time in cinema globally. We were talking about it now just before we opened
Yeah.
up the shop. You know, something like The Fall Guy. There's no reason why that should have flopped, but it's considered a flop.
yeah,
But it's
Yeah.
such a great movie, and it's so
There hasn't
cool.
been a $1 billion movie yet this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you say, Graeme, about 2019? How many?
9 of the top 10 films were made over $1 billion.
In 2019. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
such an appetite for it.
Mm.
Things are changing. It's radical. It's wild.
Because they know it's like, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks after Fall Guy was in cinemas, you can download it.
Yeah,
It was available
that's what
for
I was saying. A
rent.
lot of people just wait for stuff on streaming. Like, they're
And-
not
and-
going to the expense and the effort of going to movie theaters anymore.
And my theory, which I was saying to Graeme, is that so much of the charm and the spectacle of cinema is in TV, with both A-list actors, movie actors being in TV shows, and the TV shows just being so good,
Yeah.
where they are also on huge, large scales. I mean, the good examples like Game of Thrones. So, like, those were planting the seeds of how big television was going to be.
But I mean, it's not even about TV shows. I think it's nice TVs are more affordable now. Like those big widescreen TVs that
Yeah.
have really good speakers. You
That's a
can
good point.
almost get like a cinema experience in your house for not that much anymore.
Yeah.
And with stuff available so quickly, like, I don't know why you'd leave
Yeah.
the house.
Well, then, so this is interesting because then, this directly affects me with the
Yes.
bioscope, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Like, relatively speaking, the bioscope's doing well, but we are doing other things. We are doing
Yeah,
like
exactly.
concept nights, and we're doing things like dumpling box cinema,
Yeah.
where, as The Boy and the Heron, great Japanese animation. We've spoken about it on the show. First few weeks of it were all very easy, sold out shows at the
Yes.
bioscope. But as I could see it tapering off just a little, that's when I event it. And I
Yes.
do dumpling box, and then those sell out.
Yeah.
And so like it just takes extra effort, but you've got to make it interesting. And I
Yeah.
think we talk about, our video store presents nights, which is when, there's reasons why we should come out and
Yeah.
watch, and we're going to talk together, and we're going to hang out, and we're going to give you things to look out for, and you want to be around like-minded people. There's got to be a community.
Yeah, people are hungry to go out, but it's just like a steak Nico experience for me is.
Sure,
But like coming here is there's a vibe.
Yeah.
You come out like a steak Nico movie. You get out and you go like straight to your car. You go
Yeah.
watch a movie at the bioscope. You come out and you chat and you hang around, and it's a totally different experience.
And that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to sort of make sure. And the one thing I realized this year is that, our staff are people that you could hopefully come to know if you come
Yeah.
often. You just got to come once or twice, and you'll recognize our staff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've never had a buddy at Sturken or a manager that I've high-fived.
Yeah.
There was a guy at Eastgate who would tear the tickets who was very, very tall. I remember him.
And that's about it.
That's about
No,
it.
so we've got to think about that. Our live performances have done very well recently.
Cool.
But that's not necessarily cinema. It's using the cinema space. And in
Yes.
some cases, it's using the screen. But,
And the treatment that you've got in the room, yeah.
the sound treatment?
Yeah, makes a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that's kind of
Do
standard.
they run
but-
it through these speakers, the side ones?
Mm,
Ooh, that's,
yeah, no,
ooh.
especially the DCP films that we do.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I just love the fact that something like Furiosa for me is like an extra. It's like an
Yes.
added value. It's
Yeah.
not. I'm not pinning my whole business on the success
Yeah.
of Furiosa,
Exactly.
which we thought was cool. Let's talk about it.
It's terrific.
It's
but
a great movie, but it's almost being considered by 2019 standards. This is
Oh, no,
the most
it's-
No,
important.
it is not doing well
thoroughly
at
a
all.
flop, dude. Like,
thoroughly.
again, like the kind of rule of thumb, like, because we don't really know how much marketing and that sort of thing costs, but the idea is you take the production budget, which is usually pretty easy to find, and then you double it. And for a movie to break even, it has to double its production budget, and then its profit over and above that.
Yeah.
So Furiosa was about $170 million.
I don't even think it's made that yet.
No, it's made 114 so far.
So it hasn't even made its production
Yeah.
value. But
Let
every
alone
single
marketing
poster,
budget.
every single billboard,
Every single trailer, all of
all
that
of
stuff
that
costs
stuff
money.
costs money.
You know,
Yeah.
which is a pity. But like, again, we were talking about this earlier. Fury Road didn't do well either, despite the fact that like loads of people saw it, everyone talks about it, it got tons of awards.
I mean, it
It
made
didn't
its
do
budget
well.
back.
Like barely. That's the thing. I think the movie lost money because it did like $380 million off of a nearly $200 million budget.
Mm.
So like they estimated lost $20 to $40 million.
But it's so funny because history has retold
Yes.
the fact that it was such a great success.
Yeah.
Is that the budget on that Fury Road?
Well, this is another thing. Movies, like with movies flopping and stuff, they're too freaking expensive these days.
Insane.
The Fall Guy was a $200 million movie.
What?
Yeah, which
And it
also
made like
just
150. Like, but then you look at something like, I've mentioned this before, Michael Bay made Ambulance.
Yes,
For
you like
it's
you
a great
like
movie.
Ambulance.
It cost $40 million.
Yeah,
Like, that's what an action movie like that should cost. It shouldn't cost $200 million. It makes no sense.
I mean, I still feel
Something
like 40
about it.
million is so much money.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, then cut to Ezra, which we spoke about, which could
It
then
costs like 5 million.
relatively speaking,
Yeah.
it could actually do pretty well
Yeah.
because it is such a small little movie. There's no,
Mm.
at no point in Ezra does someone, do this big stunt.
Yeah,
Or
well,
this
big
that's why
crazy
Sound of
moment.
Freedom that we saw last year.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's one of the most profitable movies of the last,
Yes.
since the pandemic.
That's another one. Joker. The
Mm.
first Joker cost like $50 million or something, made $1 billion.
Yeah,
They're doing the sequel now, $200 million budget for the Joker sequel.
so stupid.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
Also, I wanted like we sometimes make our little corrections.
Yeah.
Last week you said the original Mad Max, really low budget movie. I think what you said was it may have found some middling indie success.
I can't remember if I said that, but yeah.
But I think that's roughly what you said. Mad Max was a massive hit in 1979.
Oh, you mean
was-
the original
yes.
Mad Maxes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The first movie was huge. It was like the 5th or 6th biggest movie of the year.
Oh, the very
Yeah.
first
It
Mad
was
Max
huge. It made in
indie-
1979. It made $100 million,
Well, that's
which
that's
is
the only
a
reason they would have
ton
made a
of money.
sequel.
Yeah.
Did the
It
sequel
was
do
a
well as well?
huge success. I think they did reasonably well. I haven't actually looked into that, but I remember looking into that and because it only cost like $500,000. It was $500,000
Okay.
crazy.
for Mad Max.
Okay, lovely. I love that
It did
because
super well.
it just shows you the difference in
Yeah.
how history.
It actually, if you adjust for inflation, it made more money than Fury Road.
have you
which is
seen that
insane.
first Mad Max?
Ages ago, I've been meaning to go back and watch like all of them,
Okay.
and then watch Furiosa
I don't know whether I
again.
can bring myself to watch it.
So I know that
First one's
for the
weird.
longest time, Blair Witch was the highest ratio, the highest
Yes,
profit.
because
Sure.
that cost like $10,000 or
But
something.
then wasn't there that other like found footage horror movie where it was,
Paranormal
like,
Activity.
Yeah,
Yeah, that movie made a ton of money off of like nothing.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's why they made $1 billion of them.
Yeah, because
they can make them so cheap.
easy
Yeah.
to bang out. What do you? Well, I mean, let's just talk about Furiosa for a bit.
Mm.
I think it's amazing. It's a
Yeah.
piece of art. It's a big bold swing. It's
Yeah.
wild characters. It's
Look, I'm one of the few people that don't like
Yes, you don't
Fury
like
Road.
it. Yes,
I mean, I respect it. I
Yeah.
get it. It's just like I was just so bored.
yes.
But like
interesting. Yeah,
Furiosa, I thought was great.
Mm.
it had a bit more substance to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
It
there
was more like
story.
traditionally narrative. Like it had like a character through line,
Yeah.
which the
Yeah.
first one kind of didn't have.
yeah.
But I think I love stuff like, okay, we're talking about movies costing like a ton of money, but I like it when big movies like this are such a individual perspective. Like in
Okay.
terms of George Miller as a filmmaker. Like this is just 100%, everything about it is just George Miller. It's weird.
It's very Australian.
It's very Australian.
Yeah.
It's like very visual as well, like the first one, like
Yeah.
Fury Road. I mean, it's also like the thing about what's weird about the Mad Max movies is the first three kind of don't share any kind of continuity.
Okay,
like they
the,
could-
the ones in
with
the
each other.
70s and
Yeah,
80s.
The
it's
three.
like George Miller's like, these aren't really related. Like Max is a completely different character in each movie, basically,
God.
and you have like the same actors, even in Fury Road and that sort of thing. You have like the same actors popping up in different roles. Like the guy who played Immortan Joe in Fury Road.
He was something else.
He's
in
the
the
bad guy
original.
in the first Mad Max. He's a
Yeah.
completely different character. And then you have like Bruce Spence, who's a pilot in what was the second one? Road Warrior. He flies like a little helicopter thing, and then he plays basically the same character in the third one, even though his character died in the second one.
Yeah. Do you think that something like Marvel building this very careful, intricate cinematic universe has sort of made us think that everything needs to be a cinematic
Yes,
universe?
absolutely. I mean, look at what studios have done, and like the reaction to that. Everyone tries to make their own cinematic universe,
Yeah.
and
Where
no one else has gotten it
in
right other
reality,
than Marvel.
in reality, who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
most people don't give a shit.
yeah.
Like even in Fury Road, one of the guys, the character Scrotus, what a
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
That actor was one of the war boys in Fury Road. So it's like, you
Sure,
know,
but I mean, listen. In the universe, you can upgrade from war boy to.
But I'm saying like this sort of thing like doesn't matter. Like I think it's actually like it's better to make a sequel where you're not going, oh, how do we have to worry about other movies as well. It's like just do whatever the fuck you want to do.
It's lovely. It's sort of the creative, huge $200 million version of like the Etch-a-Sketch, that little thing where you can draw whatever you want and then you just shake the thing and it goes blank and you can do it again.
But look, I still feel like Back to the Future, the 3 movies have to like work. Or like Indiana Jones needs to kind of fit into that universe.
But like, I think a lot of people mistake things like that where they say, like they'll say, oh, the Star Wars sequel trilogy didn't work because they didn't plan it. But that's not like, because they think Marvel works because they plan everything out in advance.
First Star Wars trilogy wasn't planned.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Marvel isn't as planned as people think it is as they do. They're playing the biggest like yes and in history.
Yeah.
Where they're just building on everything that came before it. That's what the sequels of Star Wars like failed to do.
But also, Marvel has blueprints.
Yes.
Whether they choose to read
all
them
that
or
source
not,
material.
they can go, oh my God, there was that whole Infinity Gauntlet thing.
Yes.
Let's lean into that.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, what was the next big one? It was this story. We'll lean into that one.
Yeah, you have decades of
Kang
source
now.
material. Yeah, well,
And we
probably
can't even-
not.
No, well, there are, but there's going to be multiple people playing him now.
Oh,
They've just
okay.
revealed.
Okay.
Because the actor playing the
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
the new Thanos, he got in trouble.
Yeah, he seems like a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
And it's so disappointing because he had so much just not on a personal
Yeah.
level. I mean, just on a career level,
Mm.
had so much lined up for him. He
Yeah,
had a whole bunch of things, and then his kind of nasty
Yeah.
off-camera habits and things just caught up to him, and I
Yep.
think that's great. Let's not get into it. Let's not get into too much of cancel culture now, but it's like it is cool that like if you've got this heat on you, if
Yeah.
you are a piece of shit in real life,
Mm.
like you shouldn't be
Yes.
you shouldn't be handed a whole new sort of wing of a $1 billion
Yes.
cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Except if you're Ezra Miller.
No, but the Flash failed. It's like his career's in the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they should have.
It all caught
yeah.
up. A little
Yeah.
bit like history being made last week,
Yeah.
where Trump got convicted
Yeah.
for all 34 counts.
Yep.
Not like one or two, and
All
maybe
of
there's
them.
a little. It's like all 34 counts.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. This is a
Even-
moment in history.
Even locally, the ANC only getting 40% of the vote.
Yeah,
That's massive, dude.
it is.
That is a huge swing.
I remember in the varsity days, following one of the elections in particular, going, we just hope they don't get 2/3 majority, 'cause then
Yes.
they can like alter the
Do whatever the hell they
constitution.
want. Yeah.
But now you can't even get halfway.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What are you watching, Getty?
Oh, I saw that.
Oh yeah.
I saw Unfrosted, the Seinfeld movie on Netflix.
Oh, what was that like?
Not very good.
I was going to say, I've heard it's very dull. Like, it's not funny and it's
Like,
not.
I've always loved Seinfeld. I've got issues with him.
Yeah, he's been
lately.
saying some stuff lately that's like, dude, just shut up.
For that reason and Israel reasons. But I still gave this a shot, and I was wide awake on the plane when I started watching it, and I fell asleep. It was just so corny.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
And yourself, Graham?
I watched, it ended a few weeks ago, X-Men 97. It's come up a couple times on the show. but we
Gad's
haven't
spoken about
really
it.
gotten into it.
I've only watched like the first one. 'Cause
Really?
I was watching with Jess and to try and sit down with her to watch stuff.
Yeah,
I think I've just got to watch them myself.
You got to carve out your own time.
exactly.
Yeah.
I've realized that. There are a couple of shows where now it's like, okay, Liz is out. I'm keen. I've got to find my own time. I don't know when that's going to be. It's hard in a relationship.
Yeah.
What did you like about it?
Well, it's incredible, for one thing. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be. For one thing, I didn't watch the original show
What?
Okay.
back in the 90s. Yeah, I was a Batman the Animated Series kid. I didn't watch X-Men.
I mean, I did both.
So we're
Yeah, I
talking
don't know
about
why. I probably caught a couple episodes here and
Yeah.
there. Yeah, in the 90s, there was, I think, about 5 seasons of this X-Men animated series. And this picks up, as far as I can tell, it picks up right where that left
Like
off.
literally, it could have been released the next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, so we haven't really spoken about like where the show like kind of starts. So I guess at the end of the last one, Professor X dies.
Yeah.
So he's dead. And now
That's how they ended it back in the 90s.
Professor X.
Bye, no more
Oh,
episodes.
Yes.
Jesus.
So this picks up after he's dead, and all the X-Men are trying to like carry on and like keep the school going. And obviously Cyclops is probably going to be the guy who picks it up. But then at the end of the first episode, it's revealed that Professor X has left the school and the X-Men and everything in his will to his best friend / best enemy, Magneto.
What?
So now Magneto is the guy who's supposed to lead the X-Men. And it's kind of Xavier's
Why
way
would-
of saying, like, because they've always had this like rivalry that's like they're trying to like win each other over to the other side.
But they
Yeah.
respected each other.
Yes, like yeah, exactly. Like
That's
watch
interesting.
First Class if you want like a really good example of like their kind of relationship. But his whole thinking is if he puts him in this position of like responsibility, gives him the responsibility of caring for the X-Men, being like the face of the X-Men, he will hopefully improve his ways.
Okay.
And it goes all sorts of places from there. It is like the writing is very much in line with like a show from the 90s, like the style of how it's like superhero antics and like soap opera drama,
Okay.
like that sort of thing from the 90s.
Okay.
But they make it work. Like it's way better written and the actors are all great and it goes places, dude.
I think
like,
that almost the full voice cast came back.
yeah, a lot of them came back.
That's lovely.
Yeah. But definitely there's only 10 episodes.
I
It's all
love
on Disney
I
Plus.
love Rogue. Like I was
Yes.
my biggest crush, and like Anna Paquin didn't quite get her
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
X-Men,
yeah,
in the
I
movie
agree.
series.
Okay.
She's so
Yeah.
southern and
Yes.
Rogue.
Also, like in the cartoon, she has because isn't the story that she like stole Captain Marvel's powers? Because that's all Rogue's whole thing. She touches people and she like
vaguely remember.
that's why she can
happening.
like fly and do big punches and stuff. I think she like stole Captain Marvel's powers and almost killed her in the process, and that's why she like permanently has them. Because Rogue's kind of gone like back and forth, hasn't she, on like good guy, bad guy sort of thing.
I think she's always been good.
Okay, because in this they like there's a lot of stuff with her and Magneto and like how they used to have a relationship, and when she first had her powers, she joined Magneto and not Professor X
Ew,
and all that
okay.
sort of thing. But
I really wanted to
God,
go
it
back and
goes
watch
places,
the
man.
original series. But I'm
Yeah.
like, there's just too much.
I think I'm going to now. I'm going to go back and watch the
I must
old
renew
ones.
my Disney Plus subscription.
Yes, yeah.
I'm
Just do it for a
enjoying
month.
I'm enjoying Disney Plus, man.
Yeah.
We go between Tracker and Lie to Me.
All right.
Two like very easy to watch, like whodunit serial, like cop show
Right.
kind of devices. It's
Yes.
great.
Yeah, I
Cool.
mean, I had Disney for a year and a half. I exhausted like Futurama, Malcolm in the Middle,
Oh,
like all
yes.
this stuff. So now I've got Netflix for a little bit, and then I'm going.
Oh.
I started Curb from season 1.
Cool. Speaking of Netflix, I noticed yesterday one of our favorite movies from last year, Godzilla -1, is on Netflix.
And it just arrived.
Yes.
Oh,
Without
awesome.
any announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed yesterday. I was like, everyone needs to go watch that. It's amazing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then there's also a TV show. This is on Disney Plus,
You know?
which I really want to start. I haven't watched it yet. Called Camden,
Okay.
and it's a docu-series. Gaddy, as a musician, as a fellow musician, you might find it interesting. It's a documentary about that part of London,
Right.
Camden,
Oh, okay.
and all the musicians that have sort of come out of it and come
Okay.
out of the scene and been influenced by it.
Cool.
Oasis, Dua Lipa, Coldplay.
Jeez.
There's a whole bunch of people that are in it. It looks really well made.
Cool.
Okay.
Lekker, guys. I
Yeah.
think.
We just wanted I wanted to mention the Star Wars show starting
Oh,
next week,
yes.
The Acolyte.
Hmm.
So
Okay, what is that?
So it's set like 200 years before Episode 1, and it's kind of
Okay, so that's pre. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that's,
this is
that's
the
ahead of
earliest.
that's ahead of everything you know in the Star Wars universe.
There's like a kids Star Wars show called Jedi Adventures that I think is set a bit before, which is
Okay.
technically canon.
And there's like comic books and video games called Knights of the Old Republic, which is like 1,000 years before.
yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
but I mean on this,
But this
on,
is-
a, on a nice big
Yes.
big
Yeah.
scale. Yeah.
So not a lot is known about it at all. Even the trailers, I still don't really know what's happening.
Mm.
But it stars one guy from Squid Games,
Yes.
the lead guy, and Carrie-Anne Moss,
Mm.
and they're
Ah.
Jedis. And it's kind of what they've hinted. It's about a Sith Lord who's slowly one by one killing Jedis,
Nice.
and they need it's
Okay.
going to be like a murder mystery kind of thing.
Lovely.
But
It's called The Acolyte.
The Acolyte. So the reason it's getting a bit of flack is the showrunner, this person Leslie Haywood, I think it is.
Okay.
She was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant
Mm.
and didn't say anything.
Right.
Mm.
So, like, a lot of people are not
bit
happy
like-
about
A
that.
little bit like Cyril in the last sort of years of Zuma. It's
Yes.
like, why didn't you say something, bud? Why didn't you do something?
Your silence is deafening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very much been pushing the girl power aspect. And
Yeah, maybe it's her trying to redeem the time she spent a bit silenced.
not gonna. It looks cool. The trailer.
Yeah, I think it would
Give
look
it
a
a
lot of
chance.
I don't
fun.
know what it's going to
Give
be,
her a chance.
but it's going to be a double episode on the day that this podcast releases.
Ah,
It will
cool.
be on Disney Plus.
All right.
Yeah,
Lekker, man. Thank you, guys. Thanks for a lovely day.
yeah.
It's nice to chat to you guys on a sort of cozy, quiet, mizzy day.
Yes.
I'm going to make some candy with Duos wine today.
No.
What?
Yeah, Asher dropped off some wine, and we're gonna do a little experiment.
Interesting.
You're gonna add the wine into your candy?
I'm going to use wine instead of water and see what happens.
Okay. All right. Let's
should
give
be
some
interesting.
context. Duos Wine has been a nice sponsor and collaborator at the video store for the last month. But Gad, we're not working a shift at the video store. We're not playing keyboard. In Short Straw has a candy company.
Yeah.
Called Gaddle's Candy Company.
Available at the Bioscope.
It's
Yeah.
available at the Bioscope, and I take such great joy in messaging him, going, "We need more rock."
And the distance between the messages have been getting shorter and shorter. I think it was 10 days between the last two.
We've been
Nice.
doing a couple of like really big events where
Yes.
they want snacks, and so you just give out a whole selection,
Right.
and you just put them for people to grab, and so people go for the candy,
Nice.
which is
Okay.
lovely. Okay, so you're going to try and include wine in the candy making.
Yeah, they wanted to make wine gums, but I'm like, I don't do gummy sweets. I do
Yes.
hard candy.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it works.
Is there actual wine in wine gums? Not the
No.
ones we have as kids, but I mean,
I've never
could
seen.
one do wine in wine gums?
I'm,
Do you think
I'm
that's maybe
sure.
like where it started? Like,
I was going to say, I wonder if they used to be.
yeah.
Because I know when you cook with wine, it doesn't become alcoholic anymore. So
Yeah,
you're
it
not
cooks the
exactly
alcohol,
getting drunk. It's
cooks
not like
out of it.
weed gummies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild. I remember someone putting it in olive oil and like making weed schnitzels. It's like the whole world opens up to you when you can
Oh, that
put
was that,
weed
that,
in
that
the-
American exchange student.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd appreciate this. His name was Shlomo.
All right.
Ah,
Nice little
First
Jewish
time
name.
when I visited Shlomo, I discovered Tropica, the
Oh,
drink. I've never had
right.
it before, and it's all you had to drink. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, what? This is amazing.
It took an American to show you Tropica.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
I later caught up with him, and he has a production company in New York
Okay.
called Slow Motion. And I was like, you're the greatest. I love this guy. All right. Magic.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for a lovely day.
Mm.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.